In the sultry city of Montego Bay, where the Caribbean Sea meets defiance and rhythm, a young man named Leroy Russell Jr. was about to ignite a flame in dancehall. The streets knew struggle. They knew survival. And out of that fire, Tommy Lee Sparta was born. Not just a name, but a persona crafted in the crucible of hardship and ambition. Raised in Flankers, one of Mobay's most volatile neighborhoods, Tommy Lee's early life was anything but easy. Crime, poverty, and constant tension shaped his worldview. But even amid the chaos, he found rhythm. Music became more than an escape. It was a weapon, a therapy, and eventually, a destiny. Initially shy, he wasn't the loudest in the room, but he was always listening. While others clashed at street corners with sharp lyrics, young Leroy absorbed flows and soaked in the patterns of rhythms that thundered from community sound systems. It wasn't until 2008 that his break began to take form. He linked up with local producers and started recording. Under the mentorship of Heavy D and eventually aligning with Vybz Kartel's Portmore empire, Tommy Lee found the platform that would shift his world. The connection with Kartel wasn't just business, it was transformation. Tommy Lee Sparta evolved from a promising local talent to a national figure. His voice, eerie and distinct, dripped with Gothic undertones. The dancehall scene hadn't heard anything like it. His breakout track, Worn Dem, began turning heads, but it was Psycho and Shook Uncle Demon that truly jolted the industry. His sound was dark, theatrical, and unapologetically weird. Critics were divided. Fans, obsessed. He didn't just create songs, he built an identity. The Gothic dancehall subgenre, as some called it, fused demonic personas with raw, emotional energy. It was horrorcore for the Caribbean streets, and it earned him not just attention, but infamy. At a time when dancehall was saturated with familiar flows and party anthems, Tommy Lee Sparta offered something different, something sinister. The Uncle Demon character spooked some and electrified others. He walked a dangerous line between art and controversy. Media backlash came fast. Religious groups, conservative critics, and even some of his peers questioned the imagery in his lyrics and performances. But Tommy Lee leaned into the chaos, insisting that his music was expression, not confession. In interviews, he'd often clarify that Uncle Demon was a metaphor, a symbol of the inner battles and traumas that many young men in garrisons face. But few wanted nuance. They wanted fire, and Tommy Lee gave them that in every bar. As Kartel's incarceration rocked the Portmore empire, many artists floundered. But Tommy Lee used the moment to cement his independence. Breaking away, he branded himself fully as Tommy Lee Sparta, an identity that symbolized both loyalty to his crew and reinvention. With tracks like Captain Sparta, he reached international ears. The song found surprising traction in Europe, particularly among younger dancehall fans who were drawn to the song's comic book feel and anime referencing energy. Touring followed. Even with visa issues and legal tangles, he performed across the Caribbean and in pockets of Europe. His stage presence was hypnotic. Drenched in black, channeling shadows, and howling into the mic, Sparta turned concerts into rituals. Yet his rise was never smooth. Constant run-ins with the law plagued his image. He was arrested multiple times, sometimes for serious allegations, other times for mere association. But even behind bars, he never lost his grip on the scene. When he was held in connection with the lottery scamming investigations in 2014, his career seemed on the edge. But instead of fading, he used the controversy to fuel more music. Tracks like Rebirth and Rich Badness reflected both resilience and rage. The streets still claimed him, but now so did the charts. He wasn't just an underdog anymore, he was a mainstay. And he wasn't afraid to evolve. As trap dancehall took over in the late 2010s, Tommy Lee adapted, blending his dark aesthetic with modern sounds. By 2018, his sound had matured. Songs like Blessings, Monster, and Red Eyes showed introspection, a spiritual edge that clashed with his earlier darkness. The demon still lingered, but now it had a soul. Younger fans saw him as a pioneer. Artists like Skeng and Intense owed some of their creative boldness to the trail Tommy Lee blazed. His defiance, his willingness to be weird, opened doors for alternative identities in a genre that once demanded conformity. Even critics began to change their tone. They saw an artist who had been criminalized, misunderstood, and underestimated, but who kept rising. His authenticity could no longer be denied. In 2021, just as he was preparing for a new wave, another prison stint knocked him back. He was sentenced to serve time for illegal firearm possession. Once again, it seemed like his light might dim. But from behind prison walls, Sparta dropped music, and fans listened. The loyalty he inspired was rooted not just in his lyrics, but in his story. A story of rising from flankers with rawness, breaking into a scene that didn't know what to do with him, and carving out space through sheer will. His return in 2023 was nothing short of triumphant. With Tic-Tac-Toe and God Nah Sleep, he reminded Jamaica and the world that darkness and divinity can coexist. The man who once frightened the industry now inspired it. Today, Lee Sparta stands as one of dancehall's most unique voices. He never aimed to be a clone of Kartel or anyone else. He came in haunted, heavy, and full of fight, and he stayed. His journey is far from over. In every verse, there's pain. In every chorus, a kind of eerie hope. His story is proof that even from the darkest corners of dancehall, stars can rise. Lee Sparta didn't just create music, he shaped a subculture. His brand of Gothic dancehall opened emotional doors in a genre that often prioritized bravado and sexuality. Where others flexed wealth or womanizing, Lee channeled trauma, mental struggle, and even nihilism into his lyrics. That alone made him revolutionary. Before Sparta, very few dancehall artists publicly addressed depression, paranoia, or inner demons. In a society where men are often taught to mask vulnerability, his work stood as a bold contradiction. He made darkness anthemic. Take songs like Psycho or Rebirth. They aren't just catchy, they're theatrical, layered, and psychologically loaded. He uses horror tropes not just for shock, but as metaphors for survival in Jamaica's most dangerous zones. The demon isn't evil, it's protection. He also flipped what a dancehall image could be. With his dreadlocks, dark attire, and references to spirits and shadowy figures, he leaned into a look that felt more rock star than rude boy. Fans loved it. Critics were split, but the industry, it eventually followed. Lee's influence started to show in the next generation. Artists like Alkaline played with eye tattoos and dark imagery. Skeng adopted chaos as a brand. Intense built his identity around mental volatility. Whether directly or indirectly, Sparta cracked that door open. What's more, Sparta made Montego Bay a stronger voice in dancehall. For years, Kingston dominated the genre, but Lee's rise helped shift attention west. His success spotlighted Mobay's untapped talent and gave rise to a more regional diversity in the sound. His work ethic also deserves respect. Despite arrests, injuries, and being blacklisted from events, like past bans from Sumfest or Sting due to controversial content, he kept producing. His catalog is massive, and his consistency has made him nearly impossible to ignore. When he returned from prison in 2023, many wondered if he could still compete in a new era. But he didn't just compete. He adapted. Collaborations with younger artists, updates to his flow, and new themes in his music all signaled growth. Still, he hasn't lost his roots. Even in his more recent music, that gritty Mobay accent, that eerie vibrato, and that lyrical menace remain. But now, there's more introspection. He's matured, not softened. Beyond music, Sparta's story resonates because it's real. He's not polished, he's never been the industry's favorite, but he's authentic to the bone. Fans connect to that because they see themselves in him, scarred, flawed, still fighting. He also broke the mold in how dancehall artists brand themselves. His merch, visuals, social media presence, and even stage names reflect a deep commitment to character and aesthetic. Sparta isn't just an alias, it's a world. And that world is expanding. Younger fans, those who weren't even born when Portmore Empire ruled the airwaves, now sing his lyrics. They wear his image on t-shirts. To them, Lee isn't just a legend. He's a living myth. This immortality in the genre, however, wasn't handed to him. It came at a price. Legal battles, public ridicule, censorship, and media attacks have trailed him for over a decade. But like the character he built, Lee always returns from the ashes. As dancehall continues to evolve, with trap, Afrobeat, and drill influencing new sounds, Sparta remains a rare constant. He adapts but doesn't pander. He learns but never forgets who he is. That balance is rare and powerful. In an era where many artists chase clout or copy foreign formulas, Lee remains deeply Jamaican. His lyrics are still steeped in patois, his references are still local, and his energy still comes straight from the streets that raised him. He also refuses to play it safe. His art still shocks, still disturbs, still provokes. But that's the point. He forces you to feel something. In a genre that sometimes feels formulaic, he's a jolt to the system. Looking ahead, Sparta's legacy feels cemented, but not closed. He's still releasing music, mentoring new artists, and pushing the genre's boundaries. He's become both a symbol of rebellion and a model of resilience. If Vybz Kartel is dancehall's king of controversy, and Mavado, its voice of ghetto pain, Tommy Lee Sparta is its dark prophet, a figure who walks through fire with lyrics for armor and demons for backup. For many, Tommy Lee's music is more than entertainment. It's a reflection of Jamaica's underworld. It's therapy. It's rage. It's survival set to rhythm. And that's why, even with all he's faced, Tommy Lee Sparta isn't just part of dancehall history. He is history, alive and defiant.